In this week's Torah portion, God said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to bring me an offering, and you are to receive the offering for me from everyone whose heart prompts them to give." This is Exodus 25, verses 1 and 2. The list of materials that follow are all part of this offering. But for what purpose? It says, "Then have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them." Exodus 25, 8. The Mishkan, the tabernacle, it represents a profound and transformative concept. What does it mean to create sanctuary? It is the act of providing a space for the divine to dwell within this world. The Hebrew word Mishkan comes from the root Shin Chav Nun, which means something like to dwell or to reside. Interestingly, this same root forms the word for neighbor, signifying someone who dwells nearby or even a flatmate. This illustrates the intimate relationship between the divine and humanity. Just as a neighbor lives close to us, God desires to dwell close by, inviting us to share space and intimacy in our daily lives. But the question arises, is it the physical space or the intention with which we approach it that holds significance? God does not need a Mishkan, for God's presence fills the entire world. Yet this tabernacle serves as a container for holiness, a way for the people to focus their attention and cultivate a sense of the divine presence. The sanctuary is not a sacred object per se, but a place that holds the potential for holiness. The materials that are brought for it, the gold, the silver, the acacia wood, etc., are not inherently holy, but it is the intention behind these offerings that transforms them. Holiness is not confined to a sacred object. Holiness exists where we allow it to flourish, where we make room for it. The call to build a sanctuary is encapsulated in the phrase, "from every person whose heart is moved." Holiness is rooted in the heart. It is the seat of our desires and intentions. When the heart is moved, it is then that we can invite the divine into our lives. The construction of the Mishkan was deeply personal. The giving was according to the heart of each person. It was not about uniformity, but about the uniqueness of each individual's offering. Just as every person's heart is different, so too are their gifts and their relationships with God. Holiness, therefore, is not a one-size-fits-all experience. It is deeply personal and diverse, flowing from the authenticity of each individual's connection with the divine. The Midrash teaches us that the Mishkan mirrored humanity. And it tells us that the materials used to build the Mishkan correspond to various parts of the body. The gold is the soul. Silver represents the body. Copper is the voice. Blue, the veins. Purple symbolized the flesh. Red represented the blood. Flax, the intestines. Goat hair is the hair. Ram skins dyed represented the skin of the face. Tahash skins corresponding to the scalp. Shittim wood is the bones. Oil for the lighting represents the eyes. Spices for the anointing oil and the sweet incense represent the nose, the mouth, and the palate. The shohan stones and gemstones correspond to the kidneys and the heart. The purpose of building the Mishkan was to make a dwelling place for God within us. It says, Shahanti betocham, not in it. It is not a box containing God like a genie in a bottle. It is to dwell within us, in the inner chamber of our hearts. We must fashion our inner chambers, creating a space within ourselves where holiness can dwell. We must become vessels for the divine. Yet the Mishkan also represents something beyond individual spirituality. It was a communal project. It was the beating heart of the Israelite community, a place where they gathered not only to offer their gifts, but to forge a collective bond with one another and with God. In the same way, we too need a central place in our lives, a grounding force that unites us, a space where we can come together as one. Each person brings a unique gift to the collective endeavor of building community. It is only when each individual contributes from their talents, their time, and their resources that the whole become greater than the sum of its parts. Our community is not built by a few, but by the collective offerings of every person. Same thing with a synagogue. It is not a building. It is a living, breathing entity sustained by the presence and contributions of all who gather there. When we come together, bringing our unique gifts and hearts, we participate in a sacred project, a project that transforms us and those around us. Together we build a space where holiness can manifest not just in our physical surroundings, but within our hearts and our relationships. So let us be sanctuaries of holiness. Let each of us open our hearts and invite God's presence to dwell within us. And let us come together as a community to build a space where God can dwell, where we can support and uplift each other, and where holiness thrives in every act of kindness, in every prayer, and every moment of shared connection.